Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Timber and Stone. We are working on a new foundation today, and we will be cutting to a little bit of a speed build in just a moment so that you guys can get caught up to how this was laid out in a much shorter kind of boiled down version with some music, and hopefully that will be interesting. However, there's a few things that I kind of want to cover in this episode. Now, as you guys know, Timber and Stone is a game that's kind of on hiatus. Timber and Stone is a indie game, and I believe one, maybe 2 to 3 people have been working on it, and we've been working on this town for a little while now, and this was supposed to be kind of the finale until either they update it or come back to development. So we built this really magnificent port town, and we had some really grand plans. However, either due to the lack of support or something updating in my system, Timber and Stone no longer recognizes from any of my recording softwares. I have tried many different ones. I don't quite know exactly what the problem is. So, you guys won't be hearing like any of the in-game sounds, the music, nothing like that. I'll probably have to edit in some stuff over this section just so, you have something to listen to. But, my main question that I'm going to display to you guys today is, do you want me to continue with this series, even though we can't hear really what's going on? Or do you want me to basically have it come to an end after this episode? It's one of those things that I'm kind of sad about, just because there's still plenty left to do in this series. However, if it's not going to be enjoyable to watch, we are going to probably have to put a stop to it. So I just wanted to kind of announce that a little bit before we get into the speed build section of the video. I know normally the format is me playing for 10 minutes and then speed build and then a couple minutes live, but today, just the announcement, we'll go into the speed build, and then we'll kind of try and finish up the foundation of what was going to be the military kind of barracks and training area. So, that's kind of where we're at the moment. Anyways, without further ado, let's just cut to the music. All right. Now that we are back, let's go ahead and finish up this foundation a little bit so you guys get to see kind of what we're doing here. Now, this might look like a castle in general, and it in essence is. It's a definitely a military structure, a very defensible structure, and that's kind of normal for most of my things here. But really, it's a barracks, it is an armory, and the training area for our troops. So what we did during this build is, one, we have to constantly try and raise up the terrain as we expand this upper level, because that's kind of the main feature with this build is that the terrain was supposed to get higher and then go to the exterior wall and then gently slope back down. So it doesn't look like we're just kind of building on the plateau near an ocean. But we are building a few training pits, you know, so just some dirt rings with some sand in the middle and some training target dummies. These things get rebuilt once they're broken, so they never really go away. And the overall layout, I think, is kind of interesting. It's asymmetrical. It's not really, it's pretty organic if you think about it. So we have this really open yard, which is going to have one more sand pit, I think, over here. And we have this very large tower, which in my mind was going to be kind of a little bit of like a lighthouse kind of element attached to it eventually. We have this kind of winding organic wall going around, some round towers kind of laid out here, the great stone foundational kind of border going around the actual umber brick walls. So, you know, it has some interesting things going for it. Back here is the actual, you know, barracks, so living quarters is going to be here. The armory is going to be this little exterior building. The training for archers, because archers are actually very dangerous to train if you guys have played Timber and Stone before, is that there's going to be an exit point here, just a little, you know, archway. And I kind of wanted, instead of just rows of archery targets, which is fine to do, I wanted something a little bit more organic. And one of my favorite books growing up is called Ranger's Apprentice. And if you guys have never read that series, want to suggest it wholeheartedly. It gets a little weird down the line, but it's about 8 books long. So if you want to read a nice long book series, go cuddle up with that one. But the way they train their archers is, you know, these rangers are really skilled with bows, and to train to that skill level, they essentially have targets pretty much all over the place at different lengths, heights, and ranges, just so that you can almost inherently gauge where to shoot. Not from muscle memory per se, I'm sure that plays a big part of it, but more intuition and things like that. So it's, in my opinion, a better way to train for a bow, rather than being like, okay, it's 50 yards straight out, it's 100 yards straight out. I mean, those skills are important if you're having more of a military kind of just volley system, but if you are to be just a kind of lone archer patrolling the roads, like our kind of setup that we have here, I think it would be interesting to train them almost like rangers. At least that's my thought process. You guys could probably disagree if you want. I don't know, we'll just keep constructing some things though live while I keep talking here. So that's my plans for the future. I don't know if we'll get to that this episode. I doubt we will, but that's okay. I'm not too worried about that. I'd rather just get the pure footprint of a lot of this area done so that we can move on to increasing the wall height, give this thing its final shape and detailing. Now, you'll notice that I'm using kind of a lot of dirt in some areas, and that is just to make this whole exterior yard look very trampled down and marched in. So that's what we have over here. We have some wooden planks to roughly mark out some sort of path. This tower over here is going to be the main way on these exterior walls. They're actually not going to be an entrance into this back barracks building via that. So, you know, it's always good to separate your two buildings like that. Construction, terrain, let's get some grass filled in. couple more spots. You can see a bunch of umber brick being laid down. Now, a lot of this timbered floor that we have in here, we're using it more as filler. We're running a little bit low on stone, so timber was something we have quite in abundance, and you know, you can use that as a filling kind of block if you don't use your other materials. So let's see what timbered floor. It doesn't really matter if I match this or not. However, it kind of does at the same time. If there's areas that are going to actually kind of intertwine here, timber tiles, we'll fill that in there, and this in here. This will be potentially a staircase, and we'll fill that in there. And I just sold a whole bunch of stuff that I probably didn't want to. Timber planks, just like that. Yeah, sure, I'll sell that too. Why the heck not? So full timber, but walls. Where is full timber? And we'll just fill all this gap in so that you guys can kind of see where the exterior walls are going to be going. There might be some cutaways into the actual barracks, kind of living quarters and things themselves, just so, one, it kind of keeps the dynamic shape going, and it makes the building part of the wall, which is important. Again, no doors leading out into the building onto the wall, but you guys get the base gist of it. This left side over here is going to be a little bit of a storage room, probably a section or a type of armory. 4,449 dirt. I'm fine on dirt right now. Usually you have to kind of buy dirt just so you don't have to dig up a whole bunch of surface area, but since we're kind of expanding the foundation, I can technically take off the bottom layer and then replace it with stone or wood or whatever we have in abundance. Another cool feature that I want with this structure is simply the exterior. You know, we want space near these walls, you know. You want areas where people who might be attacking can, they basically have to go through an open field, giving your archers plenty of opportunity at shooting at them. So that is why we're having a little bit of a buffer of dirt and grass just around the edge, and also kind of breaks up the stone that we've kind of been using in a lot of these areas. It will help bring up the natural terrain and make it look more believable that we are on a natural hillside rather than a completely man-made and fabricated element. So, you know, it's good to bring in some color. This whole left section was looking really gray, and nighttime is here. It always becomes super dark when I'm recording, so I might have to come back when it's daytime for the rest of this. You know, spiders tend to always be a very annoying nuisance here in the wilderness. They're always kind of just out of range and out of sight in a lot of cases, and it just pauses my game all the time, and it kind of slows down our progress, which is really, really annoying. For lumberjacks are always kind of running into them out there in those woods. Sadly, we just don't have a good source of timber really close to town anymore. It's kind of been cut away, and we're just having to go farther and farther for it. It's not like we're really in desperate need of timber. I mean, our wood storage is pretty much capped off right now anyways, but it is a somewhat annoying factor if you think about it. What I'm going to do is go ahead and mark out a little bit of this left side. Now this is going to be kind of a natural element here, and what I want is some field stone to create this low-lying wall. Just going along here. There we go. 3, do 2, and then 1, 2, 1, and then 2 there. It looks like we're gonna have to cheat a little bit to get that wall started at least. And there we go. So this little arch sticking out here. This is where the archers are actually going to be standing so that they can shoot targets kind of off in this distance a little bit. I just want to give them plenty of room to spread out, hopefully, so they'll kill each other if they're practicing, or happy to be practicing together. It's always a little bit of a concern with this game, is the friendly fire and the AI being able to cope with that. Not the brightest tools in the shed, but you know, when used correctly, archers are a very deadly force. That's why we kind of use them to patrol the roads out there. They can really spot things from a range and hopefully pick off a few by the time our army gets there. If I just did one guardsman patrolling the roads, or pairs of guardsmen together, you know, if they run into an archer, the archer will probably do some damage before they reach them. However, our archers patrolling can usually kill things without even taking a bit of damage. So that's kind of really how they're best used, at least in my case. So we'll just expand this out a bit. And the reason this is going up by 2 is there's going to be, you know, ground here. So it's only going to be a 1 block tall wall. And, you know, they'll be able to shoot over that just fine. No arrows should get stuck in it at all. Other than that, more grass field going over here, having a little bit of a road section, which will probably curve back this way here in a moment. Let's... construction wall, great stone, 1, 2, 3. There we go, just so we can build a step here. So let's do roofing and ceramic tiles, I think, for the area to make it look a little bit more fancy. And this road here, you can see the height is even going to change in this area a little bit. But this whole section was supposed to be, and is still kind of planned to be, the civic area. So, you know, a lot of governmental buildings. I want the treasury near here as well, because it's a very defensible position. We also probably want the palace over in this direction. Not quite, I think, near this thing, because I think that's 2 really tall buildings that probably shouldn't be together. We might even build a higher end tavern, some higher end homes, and the church in this area as well. And then we'll get into kind of just the upper class section that was planned over in this general area. Don't quite know what we're building there. And of course, your comments are used to help decide those little factors. Construction, flooring, timber planks, I believe, yes. So we're going to just kind of go a little bit in a non-planned fashion out here. So it looks like they can really spread out and kind of take any route. And then we will go back in terrain grass. Actually, let's do dirt first. So there's probably going to be a nice thin layer of dirt going along this low wall, you know, because that's kind of the most common places they'll stand. Also, coming from the pathway a bit, in areas where they might not fully step on a board, that would be a common occurrence. And so these are the little stories that you tell yourselves when you are working on projects such as this. And it doesn't even have to be completely realistic. It just has to be to the point of, hey, that's reasonable. And that is laid out there. Now the targets I want to raise up off the ground so that hopefully the archers and things will be shooting upwards rather than across each other. And to that, we'll have to raise up this terrain quite a bit. We're kind of low on stone. I've used over half of my reserves. I think we had almost 16,000 stone at one point. We're only down to almost 3,000, so this is starting to be rather costly. And for the rest of the episode, let's go ahead and lay out some of these rooms. So castle brick is going to be the interior wall of choice, I think, for this first floor. So we will get this to essentially be the first hall, and then it will, I think, split like so through there. this section will probably jut out a bit into this. I think this is going to be kind of the dining room area. So we'll do 2 here. We'll leave that just so it's a little bit more asymmetrical. Alright, and this is going to be somewhat of the kitchenette area. Here we can kind of block in where we want that staircase to start. So something like that. This is going to be the staircase up to the 2nd floor where a lot of the rooms are. This here can be some sort of, I guess, study room, library type of element. So I think that will look good. This is a little bit of a storage room. At least that's what I see in my head. And now we can basically get the umber brick going up to level 2. I want an entrance to this tower here. These towers, I don't think they're part of the actual exterior wall. It doesn't look like they are. So this is actually part of the main kind of building itself. It's nighttime, so it's fine that it's paused. Let's make sure the entrance is actually kind of tucked away on the back side, so they have to at least take the building. So right there. And then this one here, this one we can probably leave as the side entrance, just because this closet wouldn't make sense otherwise. Okay, this can go up a level as well. This is more part of the exterior wall, so we'll just raise this up here. Looking pretty good. Now, windows are going to be an interesting feature because windows will probably only be on one side if you think about it. They really shouldn't be anywhere else. And that is basically the whole foundation. So if you guys are enjoying Timber and Stone, feel free to leave a like down below. Leave a comment. Again, I'm sorry that if the in-game audio isn't picked up, it is something that I seem to be unable to fix. Oh well, it happens with the business. It's not really something that I can do anything about. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Go ahead and let me know what you might want to see next or record next. And until then, I will see you all in the next episode.